It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. And we are indeed on the line this morning with Denise Jennings. We're talking about the Blairsville Underground Railroad and a neat little thing I was just talking about on the air. Our conversation with Denise brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Denise, good morning.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Wonderful. And it's good to have you on the air with us here today. This is really exciting, this initiative that you have going here, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes, I believe it is. I think that there are so many important sites in Indiana County, and if we start in Blairsville, maybe we can proceed throughout the rest of the county. We have such an amazingly deep history of the Underground Railroad in our area.
We do. And the Blairsville Area Underground Railroad has been a real leader in calling attention to the activities during the pre-Civil War era with the Underground Railroad. And you have just a tremendously hard-working group of people there in Blairsville, and you've come up with these interactive signs. Tell me about those. Where did this all begin?
Well, where it began was in my head. I thought, here we have this, just a little map with some sites on our website, our old website, and it was essentially a self-guided walking tour. And we developed this in 2016, and it sat on our largely a dinosaur-esque website. And so I thought, boy, wouldn't that be great for not only promoting the Underground Railroad in the Blairsville area and throughout Indiana County, but also bringing people in, because there's a real economic element of our history. Heritage tourism is fairly large in Pennsylvania, certainly. So I took a look at some of our most interesting people and places which figured specifically in the Blairsville area, but signage is very restricted. So when you respond with and use the technology available to us today, which would, of course, be QR codes, then you could direct people who have smartphones automatically to additional information. But recall that dinosaur-esque website we had?
We're back there, yeah.
Yeah. I had to redo the entire website.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was a learning curve. And because we don't have any source of consistent funding, and developing a brand new website can be cost prohibitive, I did it myself. So I had to learn all about web development, and I put together a new website. So when you're walking and you come across one of our signs and you find that it's intriguing and you would like more information, then you take your phone with your QR code reader and you click it onto the code, and it opens up our website automatically with the page on our website that corresponds with that story.
Yeah, well, the Underground Railroad, by necessity, by definition, it had to be quiet with no signage back when it was actually operating. But now it's the exact opposite, isn't it?
That's absolutely true. And what's very interesting, though, is post-Civil War, that one of our Underground Railroad conductors as a teen was then a newspaper editor, as his grandfather, the abolitionist, had been in pre-Civil War times. And so he published a series of his own first-hand anecdotes and experiences as a teenage Underground Railroad conductor, and that's one of the reasons why we have such a well-preserved, base of information and knowledge about our local Underground Railroad.
Yeah, it's a treasure trove, and it just happens that because of the enterprise in which his family was involved, this young man was able to really help us in this day and age understand what was just a tremendous network going all through not only Indiana County, but and beyond, all the way to Canada.
Yes, and the digitization of information and books and newspapers has really created that A.T. Moorhead jumping off place and allowed me and our organization to find a lot more information and identify more Underground Railroad conductors. So to date, I've identified 93 Underground Railroad conductors in the Indiana County area. Some are right over the border, but it was just an amazing amount of activity, men, women, teens. But, of course, no one would be talking about these individuals if it weren't for the men, the women, and the children who use this network to freedom.
Absolutely.
So Dr. Mitchell would have just been a doctor, and John Graff would have just been a merchant, and Louis Johnston would have just been a coal hauler. So, that's important to keep some perspective there.
We're talking with Denise Jennings, the Blairsville Area Underground Railroad, with the help of Blairsville Borough and its employees. They put up 10 interactive signs which tell the story of Blairsville's participation in the Underground Railroad. So if you're somebody who's not from Blairsville and you're hearing this or you're reading about it somewhere and you say, well, I want to go, I want to experience that, where do you suggest they start?
You can really start anywhere. You don't have to start at one particular sign, and I designed it that way. So it's kind of like if you're watching a series and they give you a little recap. So there's enough information that each sign standing on its own can give you an independent story. So it ties all in. I don't think there's any one particular place, but if you're looking for the location of these signs, there is a map on the opening page of our website, and that is Underground Railroad BlairsvillePA.com, which is an extremely long name for a website, but that's where we are.
Well, it works. I mean, it tells you exactly what the mission is by just telling you who you are. But folks need to understand as well that you actually have a central location where people can visit too.
We absolutely do. We have an Underground Railroad History Center, and we're located on 214 Southeast Lane in Blairsville.
So folks can come and they can visit that. Now, this being 2020 and what 2020 does to us, they need to make an appointment for that?
Yes. Actually, again, hearkening back to we don't have any funding from an independent source, so we rely on visits and we rely on events. However, all of our events have been canceled this year. So we have never been able to have a paid staff, and we've never had enough volunteers to be able to maintain normal business hours. So we've always been by appointment, but we do have enough people who can respond to visitors and to check our website and answer our phones, that are the Google Voice, actually straight to my phone. And so we're able to respond when there is someone in the area who would like to visit. And trust me, we have visitors from all over the nation. Oh,
yeah. Well, that's wonderful. So in order to do that, is there an email address or a phone number?
Sure. Yeah. You can email BlairsvilleUGRR at yahoo.com. And, of course, we have our Google phone number, and that is 724-343-1014.
All right, so those are good places to start in your exploration of the Blairsville Underground Railroad. We just have a couple of moments left, Denise, and you mentioned those 90-some locations or conductors here in Indiana County, and
yes.
And it's just an amazing number of people who have participated in this, and therefore the Underground Railroad is not just Blairsville, but it's all over the county, including right here in Indiana.
Oh, gosh, yes. Actually, Indiana County had a much greater number of Underground Railroad conductors than Blairsville. I've only identified sort of 3, maybe 4 at the most in sort of Blairsville, Burrell Township, but Indiana borough and surrounding White Township was just filled with Underground Railroad conductors. A lot of them had the means to be able to sort of step outside of your struggle in pre-Civil War America, growing your food and making your clothes, things like that. I mean, it's harsh living during those times, certainly not with the ease that we have today. But those folks were very well employed, some as doctors, attorneys, public officials, and they flouted the law.
Yeah.
Because the laws supported the slave catchers and performed these acts in conjunction with these amazingly brave men and women and children who risked everything to seek their own freedom.
Yeah, we thank Millard Fillmore for that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
All right,
Yeah.
Denise. It is wonderful to talk with you on this topic, which I know we could go on for hours, and we'd never exhaust it. It's just a fascinating part of American culture, and Indiana County played a key role in it. You and your friends in Blairsville are playing a key role as well, and we hope folks will take advantage of this because it's just a tremendous amount of work. And now you're a certified, really good website designer. I'm sure you're going to pick that up as a business too.
Oh, my phone's going to ring off the hook now. But I have to say, it was a very good warning that you put out that we could talk about this. I do warn people not to engage me in a conversation unless they have a sandwich nearby, maybe some water, because you may be a while.
Denise, thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Sure thing, Todd. You have a good day now.
You too. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.